Now I thought my days were over of buying the most useless things on Marketplace, but turns out they're only just beginning. But this isn't something I plan on flipping. This is something I plan on building. This is the Daihatsu Midget. This is either going to be a rocket ship or a massive failure. Hopefully it doesn't blow anything off. Oh my God. That was a very grand pull off. Pretty good at pulling things off. Do you reckon a blower from TEMU actually works? There's only one way to find out. So for this build, we needed some serious help. My mate Dennis helped me build LUXIFER from pretty much the start to where it is today. We called in the big guns. Come in here, Dennis. You're even wearing the hat. This is my mate Dennis.
With horsepower comes noise. I don't know what you're on, but I want some of it.
Dennis has helped me from a lot of projects through, you know, from when I started doing these crazy things, and he's an expert, something I'm not. So thank God Dennis is here. And hopefully we can make it run and improve the quality of the car, not decline. So the first things first, Dennis, we want to put a supercharger on this.
Supercharger, 1471?
We probably won't put a 1471. We might do a, one sec. This is the supercharger. Now, I've always wanted to know, does a supercharger from Wish actually work? There's only one way to find out, and we're going to try. Now, the Daihatsu Midgets come out with about 30 horsepower. This one has 50,000 Ks on the clock, and it's 28 years old. So I reckon it's probably lost at least 5 horsepower in that time. And allegedly, this does 110 Ks an hour on the highway, which I highly doubt. But if it does do it, it's not safe and it doesn't feel good. But that's the kind of things we're going to test here today, because if we don't test it, who is? We need to do these things so you don't have to. So today we're out at JT Automotive and we have finally found someone that can dyno tune our powerful beast. The reason we like this place is because it has a roller dyno now. Normally hub dynos, everything I own should be on a hub dyno, but this one doesn't need to be. So roller dynos allows us to accurately measure 30 horsepower. Well, now that it's been 28 years old, probably 20 horsepower. But anyway, we're about to find out. So thanks to the guys at JT Automotive, we're about to shake the roof off. So these guys do a range of things, from servicing fleet vehicles to building awesome trucks, and you know, there's just a bit of everything basically. So lucky for me, the Midget was quite small. We've managed to sneak it in under this lift. And have a look at her. Honestly, just stop what you're doing and have a look at her. If that doesn't look like 3 million horsepower, I don't know what does. But anyway, I guess it's time we find out what this thing does on the dyno. That's sort of what I was expecting. I guess 25 horsepower. Try and tell me you're impressed without telling me you're impressed.
Skin off custard is safe.
So if you have a skin on your custard, it's safe while the Daihatsu's around. Google told me that this car came out with 30 horsepower, but that was that was 28 years ago and 50,000 kilometers ago. So we've only lost, at 25.7, we've lost 4.3 horsepower. Now that doesn't sound like a lot, but when you put that in a percentage, someone smarter than me is gonna put it in the comments, because I, at the moment, know quick maths. Quick maths! That's a lot of a loss. So the last run, how'd you get more power? What do you do, just squeeze this throttle harder?
Probably just cleans the plugs out.
Yeah. Well, we've been...
Does smell stale.
Yeah, we've been cleaning the plugs out since we've owned it. Anyway, there's only one thing left to do, and that is do some modifications. I can't have a car with 25 horsepower. I need at least 30 horsepower to do anything cool. So I think we're going to go back to the shop and we're going to bolt the supercharger on this big girl. .7 horsepower. Ladies and gentlemen, we are in a hot rod. I'll see you back at the shop. I think this is the easiest my hoist has ever had to work in its life. So I've seen little wheels that are built tougher than this thing, but apparently it's this is all you need to scale the hills of Japan and go to the markets and not take up much parking room. But basically what we're thinking is this engine here, this is the crank of the engine. It's got some sort of water pump, obviously. This section right here, we're lucky because up here there's a big void. I'm looking at that big void and go, that's where we're going to put a supercharger. And the good thing about this supercharger, it is actually on Wish, it said that it's made up for a 2-litre engine. We're very lucky because this is 0.7 of a litre. That means that that supercharger should have more than enough boost to boost this engine efficiently, or overboost the engine and we blow it up. We don't want to blow it up straight away. We'd like to get at least a couple of drives out of it. But rest assured, when this thing does blow up, not if, when it does blow up, we're going to put a bigger engine in it and one that goes very fast. But until then, we have to figure out, does a Wish supercharger actually work? Hey, Dennis.
It will be a big test.
A big test. Let's pull some things off and get to looking. This segment is not sponsored by Ryobi. This drill was actually smoking before. It's not good. But to be fair, it's had a flogging. All right. Look at that. You know, the Japanese were probably the best car builders in the world. Their engineering over the years of different sorts of vehicles is really superior to what was around in that time. Now, this thing was built in 96, probably designed in 94, 93. So this car's nearly as old as me, but it's actually quite tidy and surprisingly, it looks pretty strong. It's nice to have a look at these older cars and, you know, this thing, as I said, this is nearly 30 years old and looks in really, really good shape for its age. But the best thing to do there is just put a supercharger on it. It's the only real option we got. So what we're doing is we're trying to figure out the best way to mount this now. I want this to be sort of half watt respectable. So we could just jam it up in there and there's not really a lot of room to work. Or what we can do is debody this thing, build the supercharger right. And I'll tell you what, if this thing actually lives and it goes good, I'll leave it for a while. You know, there's nothing cooler than a supercharged midget or a boosted midget. Midgets with boost. We can't say that. So I'm just trying to figure out what we need to take off to get this body off. It doesn't look like a hell of a lot, but there's always something. There's always something when you're ripping it off going, oh, I forgot about that cable, and just rips it out.
You kidding me? Look at all this crap.
What we can do is undo everything and then see what doesn't come off. The last thing I wanted to do was damage some wiring and make a mistake because I'm in a hurry, because I'm always in a hurry. So I think leaving the body on for now is a good option, unless we absolutely have to take it off. Give her a couple of pumps. Normally gets her out. Now the seat is 2 bolts to get out, so that's handy. Hold on to her, mate. She's in first gear. Low range. You know, legend has it that Ryobi is what they use to power some of the world's biggest cruise ships. They just join 50 million drills together and they all go at the same time and they turn the big propeller.
I don't know what you're on, but I want some of it.
Nothing, unfortunately. Well, I had a Monster for breakfast. That just gives me energy. I still say ridiculous things regardless. Well, there's a big ass plate here for an engine mount.
What do we got here? There's no live terminal in here. We're gonna short out anything, aren't we? We're gonna take the battery
I
off.
might take the battery off.
Yeah, just in case.
Now, while Dennis is doing that easy job, I went down and saw our friends at Autobarn and we got ourselves some SAS gauges. A couple of things this car didn't have. It didn't have a tachometer, so I didn't know if I was revving it to 12,000 or 13,000 RPM. So now I know, even though it only goes to 8, I'll get an idea. Next, we've got a water temp gauge. Now, a water temp gauge is very important because we don't want to make it hot. And I'm thinking when we put the supercharger on the engine, it's going to cause the engine to run a little bit leaner. So we can actually keep a track of how hot the car is getting with this SAS gauge. And there's one more gauge that I want to get, which actually doesn't actually have one to match, but we need a boost gauge because we want to know if we're making 1 pound or 8 pounds. If we can make 8 pounds of boost in this engine, I'm telling you, hold on to your hats, boys. We're going somewhere not fast, but moderately fast. Medium pace. A little bit faster than what we went before the supercharger. One of those 3 things is what we're going to be doing. So I'm excited. Can you tell us what these symbols actually mean? So this is on the air box. You've got one symbol here and one symbol there. Now, pretty much someone loosely told me that in summer you would have it one way and winter you'd have it the other way. I just don't know what's summer and what's winter. I could probably pull this apart and figure it out, but tell me what they mean, because I'd like to know. Whether they say hot, cold. That one looks like, it's like a little cubby, like a little beehive, and it's got little legs on it. And the other one's like something you would see in Japan on stuff. It doesn't even look like a beehive. But that one definitely looks like a beehive. See, it's got a little hive there, little legs, sits on the legs and stuff. But anyway, if you could tell us what that means, that'd be fantastic. I don't know if small cars are harder to work on or easier to work on because like spaces are really tight and sometimes it's nice to have a big space to put your hands in. So sometimes you need small hands. My hands are not large, but they're not small, they're just in between. So sometimes, John, we might have to get your little camera fingers in there. Those little editing hands.
dainty little hands.
Those little moisturised little boys and get him in there. It got weird. What do you reckon, Dennis? You want me to try and support it somehow from down here, or
What's that?
you're just
No,
looking for
no,
somewhere
no.
to bolt it now, right?
Yeah, just trying to get a base where we can start attaching it to the block. And the only one we got here is this alternator bracket.
To hold that real massive alternator that we got.
Would have been nice to be able to just the alternator off and put the blower there. Not enough room, but
There's some random threads in the block over here. We could probably put some rods and whatnot.
watch out, watch out. Get you?
Got me all right. Got him real good. What is this? Oh, little side steps. Got some badges. I'll have to put them back on. They're worth money. Little Daihatsu badges. Little fender flares. I don't know where these go. These are like... They'll probably fly off on the highway when we're doing 80 in 100 zone. Well, that's not the tools we're looking for. So, I want to rip this front bit off and see what's in there. I don't know if there's anything in there, but if there is something in there, we're going to find out. And that's how you do it. You just around and beep that out. Normally I've got a rattle gun, but I've just misplaced it. And by the time I look for it and find it, we'd have this off. Ugh. All right. I don't mistreat my tools. They're all looked after in the best fashion. Good thing about this car is it's 4 wheel studs. 4 wheel nuts and wheel studs. And these tyres are the lightest tyres I've ever seen in my life. Pretty sure my RC tyres weigh more than these. Just sing out if you need a hand, Dennis.
I will.
I'll get John to help you. Dennis has missed our company, I think. Dennis is renovating his house at the moment. And I said, Dennis, I need you to stop renovating your house and come help me with a super secret project. Super secret. He said, anything for you, Kyle. And I said, all right, see you on Monday. And that was last Monday. And then we got busy doing other things. But now it's a new Monday and we're here. Look at that. Hercules, Hercules. Oh. Just rainwater, no big deal. What sort of sucks is that's quite ugly, that thing on the front. I know it's a sort of vibe for this car. Maybe if we get like remember back in the early 2000s when they had like spinners? And you used to pull up and your wheels kept spinning? I think that'd be cool. Anyway, we probably shouldn't do that. We want to keep this genuine. But when we get a bigger wheel, if down the track we feel like we have to jack this thing up to the sky and make it look a bit four-wheel drivey, like a JDM four-wheel drive, a 33-inch mud tire is going to look extremely silly on the front of this thing. But then again, what else is going to look silly on this thing? So I guess we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. I don't think this thing's been off since they painted it, which I don't know how old the paint job is. It doesn't look that old. So I noticed too that this color is very similar to like the Land Cruisers. You know how people paint their Land Cruisers this color? Well, they might even come factory this color, I'm not sure. But this is basically a Land Cruiser. Why do people spend $100,000 on a Land Cruiser and it doesn't even have like electric windows or a cup holder or any kind of comforts, and they get a bare stock, pretty average four-wheel drive for like 100 grand? You can buy a top of the range Chev Silverado for like $20,000 more, and it has electric windows, it has seat warmers, it has a 1-ton carry limit, it has all this stuff that's like makes a car usable for a fraction of the price more. And it has multiple cup holders. I guess the thing is we'll just never know why people do that. Oh, all right, that would have been a hell of a lot easier with a rattle gun, but once again I don't know where the rattle gun's gone. Will it come off now? Yes, it will. All right, well, there's no real point in taking that off. Look at the little baby little radiator. I've seen bigger radiators on lawnmowers. All right, you can just put that back on now, John, I reckon. Yeah. So we got Dennis just making up some brackets there. Dennis loves bracket making. If he was a drag racer, he'd be a bracket racer. That was a bad joke. But in some good news, we went down to Bunnings.
Well, what are we going to do with that drill?
Well, you should have told me. You already drilled it. Anyway, I went down to Bunnings and I bought the best quality drill money can buy. This is a XU1 XHD 500. It's variable speed trigger, adjustable side handle, 500 watt, home use, replacement warranty. So if we break this drill in the next 12 months, even though we're not at home, we'll just tell them we're at home and then they'll give us a new one.
Look at that.
Whoa, what a beauty.
It's blue, like a Yamaha, so it's sort of fast. Not as fast as a red one. Looks good. And if it looks good, it doesn't even deserve to finish that sentence on this thing. All right, well, the biggest thing is you got to take care of your tools. And I'm not much of a tool basher, but that doesn't deserve to be placed down. That deserves to be drop kicked across the shop. And if it breaks, we'll take it back to Bunnings and we'll say, listen, I was at home and you wouldn't believe it just shattered when I was doing my home renovations, and we're not doing home renovations, obviously. Anyway, on to the next thing. So me and Dennis are busy here working. You can't see what I'm working on, but it's important.
Here's, mate, the door latch. That door comes open.
That door comes open. Now, Dennis is making up some brackets now. Normally I would do this, but it's a one-person job, so Dennis really likes bracket stuff. So we let Dennis do the bracket. So I've just been relegated to parts buyer, and we had lunch before. I had Japanese curry because I'm working on a Japanese vehicle. John, you had sushi, that's also Japanese. Oh, that's bright. Basically just waiting for Dennis to do his part, and then we can do all the hard stuff like driving it. But now he looked like he's getting pretty close. He's got a lot of brackets going on.
Nothing like that. Nothing like the smell of a burning drill on a Tuesday morning.
You get a brand new drill, and it already smells like it's burning. Hasn't even got any load on it yet. Oh, smell that.
Beautiful. Don't wear it out. You get 4 revs.
You can only drill 4 holes before it breaks. So what are we doing here? Drilling some more holes, Dennis?
Drill more holes, mate.
Drill more holes. To be fair, we probably didn't even need to buy this thing if the Ryobi's probably charged again.
Look at the power in that.
Straight horsepower. I think that was the best $36 I've ever spent.
Saved up and bought a proper drill press.
Well, yeah, we could. Or we could fabricate a press onto that drill.
Oh, we
It
will.
would never break.
While we're making brackets, we'll make a few more.
What do you mean by save up and buy a proper one? Like, that is proper. That's the nicest drill I've seen in the last 30 seconds, if we block out this Ryobi's. I should probably get some SP tools for Australia, because I got all my SP tools are in America, and they're fantastic. They do like a 18 volt series, and they're like, hold on to them because I rip out of your hands sort of power. This one here, I feel like I could let my kids play with this in the backyard because it's probably not going to hurt anyone. But you know, end of the day, this is the first drill I bought with my first paycheck from McDonald's. I never worked at McDonald's, but if I did, I could afford this.
Yeah, slipped there, didn't you?
All right, so now I really want to put a water temp gauge in here, and the main reason for that is because, as I mentioned earlier, when you're putting boost into something, increasing its power, it might lean off a bit on fuel. So boost creates more power, which requires more fuel, but we're not really giving it more fuel. But I did realize we've got a carby, so I might go home and get my New Balance shoes and then get a screwdriver, and we might be able to actually give this thing more fuel. But until then, I would like to monitor the water temperature in the car, because if it gets high or it's getting too high, we know it could be a bit lean, and we have to try and give it a bit more fuel. But we have got ourselves a temperature probe. Now, I don't know where I'm going to put this. There is a bung under here. The worst part is we're going to take the radiator fluid out to get it open and make sure we can fit the, make up some sort of a spacer to go in there, and then we can get the probe in there. This thing must have been serviced lately, because all the fluids and oil I pulled out before actually look pretty clean. Now we'll let this do a bit of draining, and then we'll pop the cap off, which will release the pressure. Oh, yep. No. I was trying to avoid that. I was really trying to avoid that. But anyway, there we go. We only wasted about 300 mil. A little baby radiator cap on it. Anywho, this is the size of the bung hole. That sounds really bad. This is the size, this is my bung hole. This is a bung, and it goes in a hole. This is the size of the probe. Now, this is a problem because it's not quite big enough, because the probe's not the same size. It's probably just not gonna work. So we just got to our favorite performance shop, MSA. Now, I have a love-hate relationship with these guys. I love them and they hate me. I always seem to ask for stuff they never have. Anyway, we'll see if they can help us out. So this is too small and this is too big. I actually have the plug in my car, so I come prepared.
So, but what do you think is the one in between? Is it tapered?
Well, I don't know. I don't work at the parts store. I don't know what you have.
So you'll be here.
$5 a clamp.
They're a good thing. They'll handle.
But they're painting it. What it is you just painting the gold part?
No, well, it's made in your favourite country. The USA.
Oh, yeah. But don't lie to me.
Yeah.
These are not from the USA.
No, they are. I mean, they flipping well are.
I told you not to swear.
Yeah, well, they're well priced and they're a good thing.
How much are they?
Mate, for you, probably like $70.
$70. Do that for me. For anyone else, it's only 60.
For anyone else, they're $49.95.
yeah. But for me, $70. I don't know if we go for violet crumble or we get a curly whirly. This is twice as bad as this one. but twice as good to eat. We'll go with the curly whirly.
There you go, mate.
$64.
Most
Fucking hell.
expensive part.
I was gonna treat myself to food for dinner tonight, but after that, I think I might have to
you've got your
go through the bin.
You got
Might have to scavenge through the bin to feed the family tonight.
just break off a little bit at a time.
You know what? I think this is the first time I've come here and I've actually left with what I actually wanted and more. You had the right parts today. You've done well.
By your instruction, that's all.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'll be back when I've forgotten something. All right, boys. Thank you very much. See you later. So we've just run down and got ourselves a couple of more bits and pieces to try and make some of these gauges work. So we're going to have coolant temp. We're going to have boost, and we're going to have, what was the third one I bought? RPM. Yeah. We're going to have those three, so we know what we're doing. No, RPM. Yeah. Sorry, I forgot what I was doing. So information's good because what that allows us to do is sometimes we can catch things early. And catching things early is very beneficial when you don't want to blow up an engine, because you probably can definitely not get parts for this thing. If you can't get parts for it, it has to go in the bin. We don't want it to go in the bin. We want it to stay out of the bin. But we found the right fitting for that. I hope it's not leaking. Really feel. It's hard to know when it's tight. So when you're in doubt, you just give it another 3 turns and then that should be sweet. And if it's not sweet, you need a new radiator. Right, that feels like, it's not tight, but it's not loose. When you tighten something and it goes from tight to loose, that's bad. You don't want to do that. So that's our sensor. So basically this is going to measure the hot water in the radiator and tell us where we're at. It's probably not the right place to put this sensor. It's the only place I could be bothered doing it. And it's going to give us an overall gauge. And if you're sort of in the right area, you're in the right area. All right, Dennis, well that's one problem solved. I'm on a roll today solving all these problems. Now, Nylon make probably the best coolant money can buy. They not know we're filming a segment here. Not only this, so now I'm actually going to read the instructions because this is a concentrate. It comes in 2 versions, concentrate or pre-mixed. I always get the concentrate because I feel like I get more out of it. All right, so 1:1. It's pretty easy, isn't it? Wonder if you put straight cooling, you get more cooling if you put it in straight. We've also got some nice equipment from here. It doesn't tell you how much is in here, but it does say 250 ml for Bundaberg Tropics, 750 ml sparkling or juice mixer, and then ice and garnish goes up to this line. You know what? I'm just going to have to eyeball it. Love the color of this stuff. It looks really good. So that's about, I'd say that's like 500 mil. If we go, that's 750. So this is give or take 100 mils each way, a 50-50 mix. So we can simply just pour this in here and hopefully it doesn't drop out of the bottom. Because if it drops out of the bottom, we're in trouble. Now I'm wearing socks and I can't feel any water yet, so that's a bonus. All right. So far, so good. There we go, and I mixed up pretty much the right amount. I've got a little bit extra left just in case we needed more. That dripping is from when I spilt it over the back, I'm pretty sure. Hope so. I really do hope so, because I can't have the negativity of like leaks and stuff today.
Have a look at this.
It's not your first rodeo, is it? Well, whatever way you decide to do it, it was more professional than how I would have done it. I would have already had it in there. It would have been welded from the case to the chassis. And it would have worked until the weld broke.
Well, I was about to say, your welds wouldn't have even taken because it's aluminium.
Well, zip ties. We could have zip tied it on there.
You can zip tie fix the wheel, mate.
Yeah. Oh, look at that. Brand new. That's actually new. We are wasting good oil, all 300 mil of it. It's just like a 9-inch, but smaller. It literally looks like a 9-inch.
That's what I reckon, mate. That was the predecessor to the 9-inch.
Nice.
Well, I know where it is now.
Is that the piss bucket? So as expected, you know, I've got into it and we've got the axles out. We just inspecting the diff here and it looks pretty good. Looks like it could handle at least 1,000 horsepower if it was like you took 970 horsepower away from that. But it's a cute little diff and you know, matches the cute little truck, and hopefully Proc there can throw some weld into it, and that means we'll have 2-wheel action. We'll be able to drift, be able to do burnouts, we'll be able to snap an axle, and we'll be able to snap the end of the axle off so then the wheel comes off and then we'll be in trouble.
I've seen that.
Welcome to the strongest midget diff in the world. Even if it does crack a weld, it'll just get jammed. You want to spray it with degreaser now? Nah. Alright, you done?
Yeah.
Sure we don't want to do another bead around it?
No, that's all right.
Now, well, the reason we're doing this is because it's fun. There's absolutely no reason at all to do this to a diff, but
Actually, from a boilermaker's point of view, you don't want that to quench. So you do not want that to cool down quick being cast steel, because if you do, it'll just crack. So you want it to cool down slowly.
Oh.
okay, check.
On fire.
He's a stuntman.
This is not okay.
It's getting a bit hot. Yes, right, go out.
So if you're watching this, don't do this at home. We are trained professional stuntmen. We have zero qualifications, but what we do have is enthusiasm. If you've got enthusiasm in life, you'll go a long way. All right, it's a new day. Now, last night we had a bit of a late one. I was here till about 10:30, 11 o'clock at night, because I don't know if you know this, but we actually have no time to get this done. We got to be at racetrack tomorrow morning. Now, last night I drilled a bunch of holes in the dash because we wanted to have gauges, and it looked steezy in the dash. It looked really, really cool in the dash. I then figured out I didn't have the wiring I needed, so I got to go get that today to make it all work. We put the diff back together. I just got to bleed the brakes, and hopefully all that gasket stuff's gone off now, so that'll be right for today. I've got the belts for the Supercharger. Now the Supercharger's looking pretty good. I can't remember what we showed you on it yesterday, but it's mounted up there. I just got to make one more. Well, Dennis is going to do one more bracket from here to here, just to get that, when we get the right angle, it'll just be our stiff arm so we can balance that. I've got some belts there to put on it, a couple of little odds and ends, but yeah, these late nights, you need to get them done because things like this actually take longer than 2 or 3 days. It should be, you know, something that you spend a week on, but we just don't have a week. We don't have that kind of time. So we're here late and we're here early, and we're going to continue building this, whatever you'd call it, and hopefully come tomorrow lunchtime, we are setting the world's fastest time around this racetrack. That's a massive lie. This wouldn't even register on the scale, but what it will do is we'll have fun. And all I really hope out of this is this thing makes a hell of a blower noise, blow a whine. If it whines really good, I don't care how slow it is, it just sounds cool. And if it sounds cool, well, yeah, it sounds cool.
Was that the Supercharger?
I think, yeah. Why was it doing that all of a sudden? That is the sound that Supercharger's going to make.
That's pretty cool though.
That is badass. This is going to be the most badass car on the street if there was no other cars on the street. All right, well, we're getting pretty close. Now, if you can see up in here, we get that belt out of the way. Dennis has done an awesome job making these brackets. So basically we've got a bracket here that triangulates the Supercharger, so it's sort of, what are you doing with that?
Adjustment.
We don't need to adjust anything. Except...
Not with my brackets anyway.
But Dennis has done a great job. So we're just bolting this in now. You can see there that this is going to hold it stiff, and then it's bolted on the other side, and it's not really going anywhere. Once we get that bolted in, we've got an array of silicon pipes, hoses, pipes to make our boost line. Now that's going to come off the bottom here. It's going to curl back up, which I don't know if I bought enough because it seems like we've got a little bit of ways to go. But anyway, we'll try and work that out.
Yeah, we'll get that in there.
And we're going to take it all the way back around into the intake, the inlet manifold. Now that will create the system, finish the system I should say, and now we will have boost. How much boost we'll have, I don't know until I wire in that boost gauge, but I'm hoping to have around 5 or 6 PSI, which should see us gain a significant amount of horsepower. Now the good thing is this is also a carbureted engine. So what that means is you don't need to be smart, you need a screwdriver. And we can try and feed some more fuel on this if we have to. Potentially we might even be able to get a run on the dyno this afternoon, and hopefully the guy running the dyno knows more about carburetors than what I do. Well, you'd probably know a lot about carburetors. When you were young, carbies were like...
That was all there was, mate.
All there was. See,
When they made Victor motor motors, what did they have on them? Carburetors.
well, see, when I was young, there was fuel injection, and I haven't had to actually play with a carburetor ever in my life, apart from my whippersnipper, which did 2 carbies last weekend. But anyway, this is looking really, really good. Now, I tried to buy an intercooler this morning to give it some cooler air. Unfortunately, they didn't have the right size I wanted. So we're gonna run it without an intercooler, but if we feel like we're getting too hot of an air, this is a positive displacement supercharger. Now, what this does is basically creates hot air and puts it in as back into the engine as boost. Now, the problem with this is we're gonna be overdriving the shit out of this thing to make power, and that's gonna create a lot of hot air. So engines don't like hot air, they like cool air, atomized fuel to make power. So if this thing doesn't make the power we want, I'm really thinking that it's to do with the hot air. So, but we'll give it a go. We haven't got a lot of time to stuff around, so we'll keep going with this, and hopefully, mate, you can wait until we're finish filming the segment. Like that clicking noise, that actually interrupts what we're doing here.
Oh, does it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So anyway, Dennis is getting a bit itchy to keep going.
Tomorrow's only a day away, mate.
It is, but you know what's more important than going tomorrow is pretending I know what I'm talking about and telling them. See, they think I'm some sort of a informed individual, but little do they know I know absolutely no idea what's going on. But anyway, John won't put that in the video. And we're not too far away from making some zingy noises with this thing. And as soon as it's ready to zing, I'm going to show you. Because hopefully it zings. If it doesn't zing, we're in trouble.
It'll zing.
It'll zing. Stand by. Are we ready? Oh my God, that is the loudest supercharger I've ever heard in my life, and it's so small.
That is the worst. That is the worst throw-out bearing noise I've ever heard.
That is...
Imagine what it's going to be like when you put your foot on the clutch.
Well, I think we've just accidentally created the coolest thing ever. You might be able to...
You got enough oil in it?
I put 40 mil in it. No, the instructions didn't tell me how much to put in there. Well, there was instructions, but I lost them. Either way, we're going to put another 100 mil of oil in there. We're going to build some... Hopefully it quietens up when we build the boost pipe. That should quiet it up. It's really loud in there. It's like nearly earplugs loud. I'd like to hook up the boost gauge so we know what kind of boost we're running here. That's a lot of boost.
With horsepower comes noise.
Well, let's go up and show the guys how much pressure's coming out of this supercharger. I could feel it on my foot. Look at those gauges. So I installed these gauges last night. They're not hooked up yet, but I drilled the holes. We've got boost, so we know how much boost we're making. RPM, so when we rev it to 10,000 RPM, it's going to go off the gauge. And also we got water temp. We don't want to see the water temp anywhere near that. We would like to run it about 90. I'd be 90 to 100 would be fine. But we are...
Is that the overboost warning going off or what?
That's just the keys. I don't know. It does that. All right, well...
Going up or what?
You will go up. This is so cool. This is going to sound so cool driving down the street. All right, John. Start her up. That is so cool. Sounds like a tornado siren. Let everyone know I'm coming with all 30 horsepower. That's disgustingly cool. All right, so now I think once we plumb up the boost side of that, go from the supercharger into the intake manifold, or the intake or the carby, whatever the hell it is, it should hopefully shut up a little bit, but not too much. Now the next part of the upgrade to the Midget is obviously taking the exhaust off. Now there's no real reason to take the exhaust off apart from the fact that it sounds better. Well, actually, that's not entirely true. So imagine you have an engine and you have something that makes boost. We're pumping all this boost into the engine, and that boost needs to get out of the engine quicker than naturally aspirated. So this runs into a muffler, which runs into a really small tailpipe, which realistically is going to choke it up and, you know, create some back pressure, which for a blown application, I really don't like back pressure. So what we're going to do is we've just undone the exhaust at the header. So we're going to rip this off, start it, and see how cool it sounds. But yeah, I don't know if this engine's feeling that lucky. But I tell you when I do feel lucky, I'd like to thank today's sponsor, RollXO. Now, these guys have got one of the best gambling websites on the internet. Now, RollXO have one of the highest RTP percentages, so that means you got a better chance to win. And they're one of the most trusted websites on the internet when it comes to gambling. So if you want to try your luck, jump onto RollXO, use the code Let's Go, and get yourself some money, mate. But if you're gonna gamble, gamble responsibly. Be responsible like me. Well, I'm not really responsible, but you should be responsible. That's a start. Now the moment's here. We've disconnected the exhaust, and I wanted to hear it before I put the supercharger lines into the actual motor, just to get an idea of what it's gonna sound like. I've literally not started. This is my first time hearing it too, so it could either be really bad or it could be good. Little midget's now shooting flames. So we're going to connect this boost line. That sounds absolutely terrible. Well, it's terrible like for a long distance. So I don't know if we try and get a little muffler. I might have some mufflers in the shelf over there. We might be able to retrofit something just to quieten it up just a little bit, because that's probably a bit much, but I do like the flames. We could potentially leave that off. Imagine getting pulled over by the police force and getting done in a noise test in a Daihatsu Midget. I think we're pretty much race car drivers now. We're going to hook this boost line up, and in the next probably 5 minutes, we're going to see if this thing runs on however much boost it's going to make. I actually don't know. So this is the last join there. This is a bit of a dodgy setup. I hope it doesn't blow off with all the boost that we're going to produce. But this will be the first time where we've actually had boost running into the engine. Now, this could go good or it could go bad. And if it goes bad, you probably won't see this. Well, you might, but it'll just end in disappointment. But if it goes good, I'm excited. So this will either blow off or it won't. Is that all tight, Dennis?
I'll just get this.
Getting them fuel lines on there. Don't want to blow fuel off everywhere. That's right, we can do that later. The fuel line was won't pressurize. All right, everyone cross their fingers.
We might have more boost than we think.
Well, what I'm going to do, that wasn't all the way tight. When I tightened it, I had to go all the way. I'm going to install a boost line so we know how much boost we actually have. Because if this thing's running like 15 pound, this engine's definitely going to blow up.
What's it making?
18 pound.
This thing, you see this thing? It's going like this.
This engine should not have 18 pound running through it.
Of course it will.
Well, it will until it won't. Now the question is, do we want to bleed some boost off? 18 pound. That's what LUXIFER runs. That's why it's blowing hoses off, because it's got 18 pound. And I reckon it would go to 20 pound under load. Once you get the load on these things, they actually make more boost. So it only goes to 20. That's ridiculous. This is out of control. I'm sort of excited but scared. This is either going to be a rocket ship or a massive failure. Rods and pistons bounce along the road everywhere. And this car's road registered. Probably not road registered with like a supercharger on it, but to be fair, what cop's gonna go, mate, this makes 25 horsepower, now it makes 35. You're done, brother, get it off the road. Not gonna happen. They might care about the noise it makes because it's got no exhaust on it, but this is generally like gonna be pretty spectacular either way it goes. I think we're gonna bleed some boost off this, clear all the tools out of it, put the seat on it and take it for a drive. Now, I put the seat back in, I'm straddling a boost cable and there's a lot of noises going in here, I don't know what they are. But so far so good. Now, I'm gonna give it a quick test. Hopefully it doesn't blow anything off, and then if it goes good, we'll give it a quick road test. Not sure if it's fast or just loud. It was making about 6 pounds of boost on full throttle. And then as soon as you back off, the blades close and obviously it boosts up to like 15 pound. If it's got boost, it has to be making more power, unless it's really lean, but it doesn't sound lean. It feels to be running okay. So I think I might jump in this and head down for a drive around the corner and give it open up on the open road. Well, the first test was, like, it ran and it was making so much boost, but it just didn't like running at that much boost. Now, I don't know if we need to try and get it tuned somehow, but I just know nothing about carbies. But the whole point of this video was to prove that these superchargers do actually work. And that thing, if I wanted it to, would make 20 pound under load in that car. That's ridiculous. We're gonna stuff around with this thing and get it to work, and it doesn't end here. So tomorrow, we're booked in to go to a racetrack and race this thing around naturally aspirated. I'll take the belt off, run it naturally aspirated, and I'll put the belt back on and I'll run it with the blower and see how much quicker we can go. We've got to get it running right first. So we've got to change some fuel. We've got a whole bunch of things we need to do. It's going to be a long night again. And hopefully tomorrow it's running right and we can get to the track, really make some noise. But until then, peace.